Thank you so very much, Dan. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so for your remarks. And I'm very delighted to be here, to be amongst. It was very, I guess, very important just to discuss the current crisis in Haiti. But unfortunately, during my 28 years of service as a diplomat representing Haiti abroad, I can't remember, and this is really saddening to me. I don't remember when was the last time I spoke or I attended a gathering like this to discuss something different than crisis in Haiti, to discuss investment, to discuss development goals. Most of the time, I've been attending gathering like this is always to discuss what's happening in my country. That's really sad.
Sorry.
Because I believe after more than 33 years of democratic rules, when we came out of the dictatorship and we started to have a democratic life, unfortunately Haiti's always been spinning around, and I'm sure that after 33 years, you were probably in Washington or other places. I'm sure you have that syndrome that calls Haiti's fatigue, because you have heard too much about Haiti, and a country with a great history. Unfortunately, sometimes those attention have never been brought to our history, our contribution to the international, to the world freedom, to liberty, and all those contributions Haiti revolutions had brought to the international world. But unfortunately, always negative images, negative things. But one of my deep desire is one day to see my country moving forward. But this wish cannot be come through if it is not a united decision. When I say united, it has to be a work done by every single Haitian. Regardless where you come from, regardless your where you belong to, but the most important thing is Haiti has to be the common denominator. It has to be the common interest for every single Haitian citizen. Now we are facing a very difficult time in our history. I witnessed ever since when I was finishing my high school in '86, when Duvalier, Baby Doc, left the country. And ever since all my university years, and when I joined the Foreign Service, that's the only place I've been working in my life, for the Foreign Service, and I've been witnessing, crisis after crisis, crisis after crisis. Every time, even though when we had stable 5 years term of a president, but there was always a little thing to spoil that 5 years. It is, even though President Perol, for instance, is the only president who had 2 terms of 5 years without interruptions. But along the way, they had some issues. President Martelly was the other one who had a 5-year term, but unfortunately at the end of the term, he couldn't hold elections. We had to go through a transition government. Now, that transition government in 2016, led by President Prever, held elections, and I believe it was 2 elections. One was annulled, and there was a second one, and President Moise came out as the first, and even the first one, he won the first one, but it was annulled. And the second one, he came out as the first position, and he has become the president of Haiti for a 5-year term, as you know. But unfortunately, we tend to go on a cycle where every time we have elections. By the way, I must tell you that, and I'm sure you know, elections in Haiti cost a lot of money. Unfortunately, the constitution we have, we do have to hold elections every 2 years. And that's one of the reasons the constitutional reform has to be put on the table for the dialogue as well. Even the electoral reform, the new electoral council. We understand all those can be part of the national dialogue. But we always have those elections, but we have candidates who went to those elections, and obviously there has to be one winner. But the one winner doesn't mean that he has the green light to do everything. This is not what we want to do. But that winner, once he's the president, is elected for a 5-year term, it's time to learn to stay, to remain in that, democratic process. So elected leaders must be revoked to the ballot box. And whenever you have a disagreement with him, those disagreements can be put on the table and have discussions. Because we are a nation. I see even countries at war, they sit down and they reach agreement. I don't see why we cannot sit down and reach agreement. President Moise has some issues with the opposition parties, or things that can be discussed. The differences might be over electoral process. The differences might be over the corruption issues we are fighting. The differences might be over, for instance, what happened in last night 1 year ago. But I always want to emphasize it was not a state-sponsored massacre, as they want to say. It is always a battle between gangs in this area for turf control. It is not something that happened only once, and that was not the first time it happened. And unfortunately, we believe that the response should have been stronger. And the president decided to separate 2 officials that were named in that report, and they are no longer at their position. And when it comes to the Petro-Caribe funds, as you know, it was a program financed by Venezuela. But there are many things that were done from the Petro-Caribe funds. But we understand as well there was some misuse of that money in terms of the way it was spent. And it is a legitimate right for the citizen to know what happened. The president never opposes that. The only thing he wants to see, he wants the due process. There is an institution who is there for that, the High Court of Accounting and Auditing. They are there to do their work, and they put out the first report, and that report, there is a company owned by the citizen of Jovenel Moise before he became president, that's been named in that report. And he has explained, and I believe the lawyers of that company explained what happened. But $600,000 contract cannot be seen as the one who misused the Caribe Fund, Petro-Caribe Fund. When President Moise came into office, there was no Petro-Caribe Fund, it was over. The last president that used the Petro-Caribe funds was President Privé under the transition government. So this is not a way to say that we are not willing to fight against corruption. I just signed an agreement with the OAS 2 months ago, a $17.7 million agreement program over 4 years to strengthen our institutions that deal with corruption. That money will be financed by member states of the OAS, plus some non-member states, including Switzerland, Sweden, and Norway. They already agreed to finance and to give some support, including the United States. This program is about to start to be implemented. This is a willingness we're showing that we want to fight against corruption. But the corruption issues has been so rooted in our society. This is not something that a president can come in 5 years and say, we will get rid of corruption. But at least what we need to send a message on the perception. We need to send a message what we want to deal with that. So now this current situation is due to all those things that sparkled those big protests almost a year ago. It was legitimate protests, particularly started by the youth called Petro Challengers. But along the way, that movement has been hijacked by the oppositions, some of those radical oppositions. And now those protests, they are becoming more and more violent. Whenever we had protests, sometimes there was always kind of, misbehaving from some protesters or for some police officers. And I believe that the Inspection General of the Police always deals with those behaviors right away. Whenever a police officer does something which is not right. But unfortunately, during that crisis, the National Police Force has lost 49 police officers that have been killed. But no mention of those things. Human rights organizations, they tend to sometimes to give some one-sided report. I saw the Amnesty International report recently, but unfortunately, it was a one-sided report. I didn't see in that report school closed for more than 2 months, kids cannot go to school. I didn't see in that report that pregnant women are giving birth on the street because they cannot get access to hospitals. I didn't see in that report dialysis patients cannot get access to their care. I didn't see that report public and private businesses are being burned down. I didn't see those things. So that's why I believe it's very important to, if someone has to have a clear idea of what's happening in Haiti, you should not listen to one side. And you should be more objective and listening to the sides. Obviously, I'm a minister from the government. I'm not only here to defend what President Moise and the government has done, but I'm here to defend the rule of law, the respect of the democratic process. If we keep going in transition every 2 years, all the work, probably you here representing some different institutions, you have been involved in Haiti one way or another. All those efforts you have been putting out, they are like throwing money out of the window. Because if we support a chronic transition all the time, and we do not support the respect of full mandate of elected officials, what will happen then? No. Every time we'll have elections, every 2 years, every time we hold elections, and the president has to go, and the one who lost the power will organize himself and come back again. There will be a cycle of violence, and now we may end up in a country where the one who will hold power or will take power is the one who has more violence force. I don't think we want that for Haiti. We want Haiti to be a stable country where the democratic rules are being respected. Whenever elected officials behave badly, there is a process to go through. But the solution cannot be all the time transition. And I believe what we have now, we need the international partners' assistance more than ever to help us to have a clear, a frank dialogue within ourselves and sitting down together and try to solve what we can solve as Haitians. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm sick and tired. So every time I have to attend those gatherings to talk about Haiti's problem. There are many of the better things I would have loved to talk about. Investment in Haiti, creating opportunity, creating jobs, creating health, wealth for the youth, help them to get access to credit, to move forward. That's what we want, because we are very hardworking people. You can tell that here in the United States, our diaspora, we work very hard. We'd love to women in our country to work as well, to make our country prosperous. But with all those instability, we have loans from IMF blocked at the parliament. We have loans from World Bank. We have loans from Taiwan. All of those, national budget, all of them are being frozen within the parliament because they never voted on them. We should have held elections for the lower chamber and 1/3 of the Senate, or probably 2/3. There was a discussion in it in October, last October. But the electoral law was deposited 1 year ago, in November last year, by the executive at the parliament. They never voted on it. Now we have no legal instruments to hold elections. Now, from the second week of January, second Monday of January, the lower chamber will be out. 1/3, or some people say 2/3 of the Senate will be out. Now, we have a very important branch of the state, the legislative, which is going to be paralyzed until we hold elections. We didn't want that, because we try hard to have that faith, to have that electoral law passed. But if we can come together and come to an agreement, to have a political agreement between the stakeholders, this is one of the issues that will be discussed. The electoral reform, the constitutional reform, what we want for Haiti, what kind of electoral system we want. We cannot support elections every 2 years. We cannot. We don't have money for that. If we have to ask for money outside, it has to be for development. It has to be for social issues, for hospital, for the health system, to create jobs, not to finance election all the time. So, my friends, I'm here as a Haitian citizen first to tell you that it's very concerning what's happening now in Haiti, where everywhere is blown. Pregnant women cannot get access to hospital. Kids cannot go back to school. The national economy is going down because the revenues that should have been paid, they cannot go and pay. So this is their situation. And the president is offering again an alternative. He had a government that was passed at the lower chamber, that was supposed to be passed at the Senate. It was blocked, and he decided to withdraw that government and open the doors to have a national unity government. But that national unity government has to be, the president wants everyone to be part of that national unity government, so we can move forward. But we understand some radical people may not want to move, may not want to get on board, but at least the civil society, the private sectors, the moderate oppositions, if they want to work for the sake of the country, they are welcome to do so, and we want to move forward. It's time for Haiti to move. We cannot continue on this path. So I'm here to have a very frank discussion with you. I certainly will answer you where I can, and I'll be very frank with you, and I'm happy to hear from you. So thank you again for having me here. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the fact that you have taken time out of your schedule to be here, and that really shows what you have for Haiti. You would love to see Haiti be in a better place. Thank you so very much.
Great. Well, thank you very much.